the She's a Lot interview series where I get to invite 12 badass women to discuss their stories and experiences with me. My hope is that the following conversation will increase your awareness, elevate your own badassery, and bring you hope and peace in a world that's completely given into insanity. We'll release one interview per month and you won't want to miss. So next up, sit down, strap in. It's going to be a blast. Rose Garcia, repping
Yes.
LA. What's up, Rose in the
How are
house?
you?
I am amazing now. It has been 1,000 years since I've seen you,
I
which is sad.
know. I
It's been
know.
like what, 10,
Every
7, 8
encounter was
years?
always a good one. So that's
I
good.
know. We did. I was like, who is this girl? And then they were like, she's on this reality TV show. And I had seen a few episodes, but then after I realized how much of a badass you were, I went and watched the whole thing. I was like, man, I'm in the presence of greatness. So I'm
And
excited.
to think that was 13 years ago.
Oh, my, was it really?
It's 13 years ago. I was just hanging out with Nikki and Jill, who I'm still really good friends with. And we went to this charity event and we were talking about like, can you believe it's been 13 years?
Oh my
And
gosh. So you were like 20 at the time,
yeah, I
I'm
wish.
sure.
No, I was
Yeah,
I was
20.
a very immature in my late 30s, but I was having a good time.
That's all that matters. Well, let's get started. I'm so glad to dive in with you. I've been dying to connect in general. So we're connecting. I know it's on a interview, and I wish I could be there in person. But I would love for you to tell us a little bit more about you, who is Rose Garcia, and your story, and then we'll get into it.
I consider myself, as you know, on the show, Renaissance lesbian. No, I'm just kidding. I'm
Did you wear a
I'm
corset?
a Renaissance lesbian. No, so born and raised in Los Angeles, came out at the age of 19. You know, started my real estate career in my 20s. Been doing that for over 20 years, loving it. It's my favorite thing in the world. Besides being a lesbian.
Yeah, it seems like you're really good at it. Anytime I'm on social media, you're like, I just sold this $8 billion house. I'm like, go Rose. Yes, get it.
I
That's
do love it. I do
awesome.
love it. Doing it for so many years and getting through these funky markets is all because of the clients and the referrals and all that good stuff. And 99.9% of my clients become family. There is that smidgen that you just kind of want to say, oh, yeah, at the end of a transaction. But for the most part, I love them all.
Yeah, you're like, I never want to see you again, but thank you for selling your house with me. Well, look, I know you are personally going through and have been going through a journey. That word seems a little bit inappropriate because it's probably been more like this, but your
Yeah.
journey with cancer, what are some of the unexpected challenges, or realities of dealing with that? Do you wish
The
more people
diagnosis.
understood? Yeah, the
Yeah, the
diagnosis in
diagnosis was
general.
like the biggest, like, what the hell, right? Here I am in the middle of life, enjoying life, traveling the world, selling homes, doing all the fun things. And then you get like hit with this horrible news that if you would have asked me, literally almost was a year ago to the day. It was December 22nd that I was
Oh my gosh.
diagnosed. Not formally diagnosed, but when they found the tumors and they're like, this doesn't look good. And I was able, luckily, knock on wood, to achieve no evidence of disease, cancer free, 8 months later, which is
Oh my
unreal because
goodness.
I have ovarian cancer stage 3, and it was
Oh my
stage
God.
3C, which is like, see you later if chemo doesn't work. So
I'll be
um
back.
yeah,
Jeez.
the doctor, the our healthcare system, I don't want to knock it because it is something that did save my life. And I do believe there are really good people in the healthcare system. I just think that it's so convoluted that,
Mhm.
especially as women, and I'm a woman of color, I'm Latina, you have to really
Exactly.
advocate for yourself. Because then people just sort of dismiss things as, oh, well, you'll be fine, or oh no,
Mhm.
or hey, here's this one road and there's no other options. So I think you kind of have to go into, like, recon and like investigative mode of what you can do to get past this.
Yeah.
And honestly, once I made the news public, I did get a lot of support from our community, whether
Good.
it be folks that have went through their own personal journey, or their parents or their siblings or their partners or their wives or what have you. And the community showed up. I'll tell you that. They really did. I wasn't shocked, but I was, if that makes sense, because it was just, I mean, people were just sending me the amount of messages and love that they might have thought might not have mattered. When you're like in a shitty state of mind and you're just like, man, am I going to really get through this? And you get a message from someone that's like, my mom went through this and she lived 20 years later. And you're like, oh, I can get through this.
Yeah.
So to
Hopefully
all
more
those
than
people that
20
sent
years.
messages, that was amazing.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
You have this mentality where you're a fighter even before this happened. And anytime I would, look at you or watch you move through life, you have this way about you to fight through and persevere in whatever challenges or shit life brings, at you. Are there messages of hope or resilience that you want to share with someone who may be going through a similar journey or chronic pain and fear of a health issue in general?
I think you do hear that phrase mind over matter, don't get me wrong. There were times when I was in extreme, horrible pain, couldn't get out of bed. You're sort of in this state of like, I went through a short period of where I was like, I would rather not deal with this. But what is the ladder, right? You're not here. So I had no choice. You have two paths you can go. You can go the negative path of like, let this take over, or you can go the positive fighter path of, you know what, I am going to create a chance even if I don't have one.
Wow.
And I think in this day and age, with there being so much medical advancement, when you get a cancer diagnosis, even as bleak as mine is, it's cancer 3C, it's not a death sentence. I am, as of today, as of right now, no evidence of cancer. I have no cancer in my body. And I would have never, if you would have asked me this a year ago, if that was possible, I probably would have said, no, I don't think I'm going to get there. So to anybody out there going through this journey or getting any type of horrible news, whether it's cancer or anything else, lots of prayer. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm a firm believer. There is a higher power out there. And if whatever you believe in, doesn't matter what it is, please reach out to that inner thought, that little voice in your head. And I'm going to be honest with you, that really helped me through.
I love that
power of prayer is a big deal. And I'm not a super religious person, but when you face that type of adversity and situation, it makes you a believer. It really does.
It does. And what I love about, I also use the term higher power, and in my book, I write a lot about my faith. But occasionally I'll say, God, higher power, universe, insert word here. All it is a power greater than yourself. Who are you going to reach out to when you need a lifeline and you've got nothing? Wow. So you just blew my mind. I was going to quote it, but I didn't want to distract you, that, when there's not a chance, you create the chance.
Yep. It's 100% true. It's 100% true. I had an oncologist tell me, hey, because I was straight up. I'm like, look, what am I dealing with here? I've never been through this. My grandmother actually, my cancer, unfortunately, is genetic. I have the BRIP1 gene, which I never knew existed. We know of the BRCA gene, which was made famous by Angelina Jolie, because she was a big advocate about get tested and make sure that this doesn't run in your family, because her mother died of ovarian cancer. She tested positive for BRCA, so she had double mastectomy, full hysterectomy to prevent her being put in a position, because she has small children. Obviously, she wants to be there for them. And she lost her mom at a young age, so she didn't want to put her kids through that. I was in the middle of my cancer journey and going through chemo, and my doctor's like, yeah, we're going to test you for everything. And he's like, you're BRCA negative. And I'm like, oh, wow, what are the odds that my grandma had this and I have this? This is weird. So my mother went to her doctor and he's like, no, we're going to put you in with the gene specialist.
Yes.
And they're going to test you for everything. And she comes back and says, I'm BRIP1, whatever that means, take this to your doctor. And then he's like, oh, I forgot about that one.
Wow. So being an advocate, you literally had to give that to them.
Yeah. So then when I gave it to him, then he's like, let's test you for that. Oh yeah, you are BRIP1. That makes sense now. Grandma had it. Mom so far doesn't have it, and you have it. So that's possible your sisters and your sister and your anybody else that's close to you might be positive on your maternal side. So then my mother has great health care. Her doctors went and did an ovarian removal within 3 months. So
Wow.
she would, for preventative measures. But again,
Yes.
advocate, push for yourself. Doctors are humans, just like we are.
Yeah.
And, you know, although they're super intelligent and smart and do a lot of good work, sometimes they do miss things, and it's okay to ask for a second opinion. It's okay to challenge your doctors and ask them, you know, questions. And, you know, it's a team effort in this fight for cancer with different, you know, again, medications and different treatments and different sort of treatment plans that folks have in place. Not everybody has the right answer. I think the patient has to find the right answer for themselves,
Yeah.
and try to figure out what's best for themselves, and you know who's the better fit when you're dealing with this disease.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that so you've already mentioned, it sounds like one of the gifts that you found through this was your faith, or a new type of faith with your higher power. So in my book, I have, each chapter is titled The Gift of Blank. So the gift of pain, trauma, tragedy, and it walks through how anger, trauma, heartbreak, and more can be gifts, and we can find gifts in those. How did you personally find a gift other than your faith, which is a huge one, throughout this journey, and what gift do you tend to struggle navigating the most?
I would say the appreciation of just living, you know, just being
Mm,
here, able to talk to you,
yeah.
um, you know, waking up every morning, not feeling like crap, you know what I mean? Being able to say hi to my family and talk to my mom on the phone and have a visit, you know, being able to just have a cup of coffee out in the sun and relax, just the things that you wouldn't think that were the most important things,
Yep.
the most minor, being able to walk my dog was like a big deal because I wasn't able to do that for so long. So like all the little things became more important than the things that you would think were important in life, whether it's money or taking a fancy trip or, you know, jewelry or whatever, or fancy car. Like all that crap doesn't mean anything
Yep.
in the grand scheme of things when you're kind of hit with like, hey, you might not be here tomorrow. So I think the gift of appreciation of
Mm,
the little things in life, you know, being able to talk to an old friend, you know, those things are like mean so much more than they did before.
yes.
You know, so, and don't get me wrong, and here's another thing, you know how hard we used to party and how hard I used to be and how crazy.
Yeah.
I can't drink anymore because it's a matter of life or death, right? So it's
Yeah.
like, you know, my doctor's like, sure, you can have a few glasses of wine every month. I'm like, dude, I don't want to freaking do chemo again. I don't want to end
No,
up where
thanks.
I'm
Yeah,
good,
a
you
Cabernet
know?
is not worth it. Thank
And
you.
I find I'm more likable without being sauced. So it's okay.
For the record, I liked you both ways. You know,
Thank
I liked you all the ways. Wow. So presence, it sounds like presence in the day-to-day moments, the little moments that then became so powerful to you. And it just seems like it's given you a whole new perspective on life. So 13 years, you were saying that's how long it's been on the L,
you.
or since the L word.
13
T-
years, 13
Tell us
years. And I'm
about,
still, what's crazy
you're
is that
still
when I got
standing.
when I got my cancer diagnosis and things were sort of bleak in the beginning, Nikki from our cast, was one of the first, her and Mikey were really strong. Everybody reached out, but they were the two that were kind of like, Mikey's like a boss. So she's like, I'm getting you all the things you need to get through this shit. I got you, and bruh, you know, and called my mom, and you know, Mikey has a medic background too, and was like, I got
Wow.
this. If don't call 911, call me, you know.
I got this. Yeah.
I got this. I'll save her. And then Nikki had a breast cancer battle and has thankfully been cancer free for over, I believe, a decade or close to that. But Nikki was just like, you need to navigate through the doctors, everything that I told you. She prepared me for that. And what she did was she gifted me a nurse oncology consultant. So this woman, Paige Woodward, who used to work for Cedar Sinai, and there's no real sort of a playbook on how to deal with the illness, and they give you chemo, they send you home, and you're sick, and you don't know how to deal with certain things or what to eat or what to do. So Nikki gifted me this woman who really helped me through the 6 treatments of chemo and kept me healthy. And throughout all that, I was able to still work. I was still able to maintain my business. I would get up in between my chemos and do showings. And yeah, I had like 2 little hairs sticking out. I'd go out there and do my thing.
But they were the cutest 2 little hairs, I bet.
Yeah, they were just out there, and yeah. And so the other thing I would tell folks out there, no matter what they're going through, if you love something, and whether it's work or even hanging out with your children or hanging out with your dog or visiting your family, or if it's an organization, if you're a part of a book club, whatever it is that makes you happy, do it. Go force yourself to do it, because I promise you, when you're in the moment, as crappy as you felt 15 minutes ago, when you get to that place that you're in that book club, or you're in that meeting, or you're at that restaurant, or you're hanging out with that friend, you're going to feel so much better.
I believe that
just keeping that going helps you, helps anybody get through anything, no matter what it is. It doesn't have to be an illness. It could be, a divorce. It could be, a rift with your family. It could be a bad time at work. Whatever it is, you kind of have to push through, and things get better. They really, really, really do.
Yeah, for me, when I'm feeling really down, I just mouth kiss my dog.
There you go.
But,
And the serotonin levels go off.
Yeah, it's gross.
Good.
And I know it is. And then he'll, like lick his balls or something, but I just have to have the mouth kiss. So it sounds like, because I was curious, how your experience on The Real L Word, where do people go see that if they want to
on
go
Hulu?
see it?
That thing is still out there. It's
Very
on Hulu.
cool.
If you want to see me embarrass myself, go on Hulu. It's the best.
A full circle moment. But it impacted your personal journey. I mean, you've already told us about how the cast members are your dear friends and really helped you go through this. But how did being on The Real L Word affect who you are and what you do today?
I think back then, since it was sort of like the infancy of reality TV mayhem, if that makes sense, it didn't in any way negatively impact me personally. In our community, I was the fun party person. Everybody wanted me at their events, and they wanted to do shots and drinks and host parties and all that good stuff. And then from a professional standpoint, because people see you, it brings recognition. So they're like, oh, she's legit. So it didn't hurt or help in any way. It just sort of brought some, like, that's a real life person. This is what she does. But in our community, I think because we don't have a lot of visibility and we don't have a lot of stuff on TV, it still holds a lot of weight because there hasn't been really anything out there. Eileen, the creator, brought back the L Word for a while, Generation Q. And I think everyone went nuts because there was nothing that really, highlights our community. The last thing I think we had was the Queer Ultimatum, which was fun to watch. And I love the girls. A lot of those girls on that show are my friends, but it shows how hungry our community is to be seen and to be recognized and to have some sort of validity in the world, that we exist and that we're real, and that, we do have feelings and relationships and families and things like that. So, I'm proud that we did it. I still am very proud that we did it. There was some chatter at some point of bringing it back. I don't know if that'll ever happen, but we'll see.
I would watch that. I would have parties. I would make t-shirts.
Everyone's grown up now. It's interesting. Like, Whitney has a son. He's probably the smartest, craziest, like insanely sweet little boy. I mean, I have to say something about our lesbian community. They raise the most brilliant kids in the world. How?
We do. Like, I will say that my kids are freaking smart.
They're amazing. Like, these kids are amazing. Nikki and Jill have gorgeous. Everybody has beautiful kids. Tracy's kid looks like a model. Sara's kid, everybody's kids are gorgeous.
I think it's because, I'll speak for myself. I won't speak for anyone else. But as a mom, I know that we are going to be judged so much more severely than our heterosexual counterpart parents. So our kids are a reflection of us and of them having 2 moms. So if they're acting a fool, guess what they're going to blame it on? Oh, it's because they have 2 moms. They need their dad. They need a dad.
Right.
And so I just think it's one of those things, like, kids, we got to put our best foot forward. We're a marginalized part of the community. We've got to show up and, you know,
That's
be little
actually a really
badasses
good
too.
point. I never thought about that, but that makes perfect sense, because a lot of my friends that do have kids are either a single mother who chose the journey on her own, or they're two moms, you know, who obviously have the kids together. But
Yeah.
I haven't met one bad lesbian kid from a lesbian ever. These kids are
Like,
awesome.
you better suck it up. Yeah. One year, my kids were ungrateful. After 3 presents at Christmas, one of my kids said, "Is that all?" And I canceled Christmas. And they will never forget, because I'm not going to raise kids that are ungrateful and
That's a good
polite,
mom.
you know, little shits. And they're like, "Mom, you remember when you canceled Christmas?" I said, "Yeah, and I'll do it again this year if you're not grateful."
And you'll never forget.
Anyways, that's right. They won't. So this interview series is called She's a Lot. And my question is, I've gotten that a ton. She's extra, she's a lot. Usually it's not in the best way, right? This book is a lot. It's dense, it's packed with a bunch of concepts and stories and themes, coloring book pages, original songs, which I know you'll enjoy.
I
You were
love your
always
songs, by the
you're
way.
so
You're
sweet.
super
Thank you.
talented.
Thank you. So my question is, have you ever been told that you have been, you know, too much, too loud, too off-putting, too aggressive? And like, how do you break away from that narrative and label to put on your truest self without guilt and shame?
I have been told that. I mean, because I'm loud, Puerto Rican, crazy, you know, used to be the party person, but that is part of my brand and persona. That's who I am. And to be honest, if you know, you can't be everybody's cup of tea, right? That's just
Yeah.
the way it is in life. Not everyone, you know, is meant, you know, to like you or to, but there is one thing that I do demand, is everyone needs to respect me. So
Yes.
that's a different situation. So for me,
Mhm.
I feel that, you know, if someone says you're too much, or you're too loud, or you're too this, or you're too that, it's probably a reflection of themselves not being that way themselves, or feeling intimidated for whatever reason. It's not anything that you as a person is doing wrong. Be yourself. And if someone doesn't feel that that fits their narrative, as long as they respect you, everyone can have their own opinion, right? Everyone's entitled to
Yep.
their own opinion.
Yep.
Move forward and move on, and keep being you, because there's only
Yep.
one, you know.
Other people's opinions of us are none of our business. That's one thing that
Exactly. And
I
they're
love
entitled
to
to that.
remember.
Like,
Yeah,
anyone
they
can feel
are.
what they want to feel and say what they want to say, as long as it's with the level of respect. And I take it with a grain of salt and move forward, and just keep pushing through at the end of
I
the
love
day.
that.
Yeah,
Well,
because
it sounds like you leverage the fact that, you know, people say you're too much and you put it on as a badge of honor. Like, this is a good thing.
absolutely, because at
Yeah.
the end of the day, as women, you know, we have been conditioned to be a certain way, and we have been
Mhm.
told to act a certain way and to engage a certain way. And you know, it wasn't that long ago that we had our freedoms to be who we, you know, we need and want to be, or just to be free, just to be able
Yep.
to vote. I mean, that wasn't
Yep.
that long ago,
Have a
you know.
credit card. I think that was in the 80s.
In the 80s, yeah, in the late 70s, early 80s. So, you know, when you think about as women, there's nothing that we shouldn't be able to do, say, act, or whatever, as any other man in the world. So at the end of the day, you know, be as loud and as boisterous and as happy and as, you know, present as you possibly can be.
Yeah, I think that's
Don't
probably why
apologize
you're
for it.
no, don't. And I think that's probably why you have built this real estate empire. Because, you know, in my line of business and wealth management, it's a bunch of pale
Dude,
male and stale dudes, right?
yeah.
And it's probably similar in real estate. So has that
It's the
helped
same
you?
thing. It's
Yeah.
mostly all men, like you said, and it's a lot of you know, a male dominated, you know, business, but it's also because I am in a gentrifying area. It's also
Mm-hmm.
changed, you know, dynamics in terms of I'm the minority when I wasn't the minority when I first, you know, was in the business.
Right.
Um, but since I've been doing it for so long, I'm just a part of a community and a business professional. And I think people don't see it that way. When you have a good reputation and you do good business. So as long as you do good business and you have a good reputation, people tend to see past any of those labels. And you're able to perform at a higher level, you know, which is why I've been able to do this for 20 years and keep pushing through.
20 years. Wow.
I
Well, I know
know.
that everyone that's watching this is going to become as obsessed with you as I am. So how do the people listening, watching, how do we connect with Rose Garcia? How do we stay in touch with you and follow all the amazing things you're doing?
On my Instagram, I constantly post, stories and what I'm doing and how many houses I've sold and all this fun stuff. They can follow me on my Instagram's The Real Shot Kala with an
I
A.
love it. And we'll put those links, and the social media people will do all the things to do that, because you know
And
I have no idea.
I document my cancer journey too, and anyone and everyone's free to DM me if they have any questions. I'm constantly answering questions of folks asking, what intake I took to maintain weight, or what, medications or vitamins. And obviously everything's different, but I try to help as many people as I can, since they saw that I kind of made it out to the other side of this thing. I do get a lot of requests to help and try to do the best that I can.
Gosh, that must be overwhelming, because you want to help every single person, but there's only so much of you to go around.
Yeah, I answer every single DM, believe it or not. Almost all of them, yeah. Because I know how that feels when you are in that sort of desperate position and you feel like helpless.
Yeah.
And there are people that have reached out to me in different states that don't have the medical accessibility that I was so grateful to have here. And I'll reach out to Paige or reach out to someone that I know in my circle and say, can we help this person here or there or whatever.
Wow.
And we were talking about the cast, and the cast did do a really cool thing. We did a reunion photo shoot when
I
I was
think
in
I
the
saw
middle.
that.
Yeah, in the middle of my chemo, and we did a whole spread for Stand Up to Cancer, and it was in People magazine and all that good stuff. And it was for Pride Month last June.
Oh my gosh, Rose, that is awesome. I'm gonna have to
Yeah,
look that up. Wow.
yeah.
I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised.
So
Um,
trying to give back as
Gosh.
much as we can, trying to do what we can, but it's a tough fight. This cancer thing is crazy. It's happening. I see it happening to a lot more younger folks. And
Yeah.
I just want, especially in our community, get tested, when you go for your annuals, get the mammograms. I know people hate doing them, just get them done.
They're not so bad anymore. I got mine a year ago, and it was more of a pancake smash boob
Yes.
situation. And it's not too bad. I mean, it really didn't even hurt me. So, and it was
Yeah.
quick.
Mine
So
hurt. It
yeah.
sucked. I'll be
Oh,
honest.
I'm sorry. I'm
But it
sorry.
was quick. It
Maybe.
was quick. You go in there, you do it once, you don't have to worry about it.
Oh my gosh. Okay, good. And then if people do get these tests, maybe push for the gene testing as well.
Yeah,
To
I think the most important thing too is because for lesbians, it's really strange. When I used to go for my pap smear, my annual, they would be like, you don't need to come back for 3 years.
right, same.
Go every year. It's really
That's
important.
good.
The female body changes so fast, and there's so many things that can happen within a year. I mean, look, a year ago, almost to the day, I was diagnosed and I had cancer 3C. So I say push for every year checkups. And if you happen to feel anything odd or weird, like I really didn't have any symptoms. I had some sort of like weird, sort of like, I thought it was indigestion or something, like
Mm-hmm.
stomachy kind of things.
Yeah.
And what sort of tipped me off was my left hip was hurting. And I had just started going back to the gym. And I thought it was because I was overexerting myself. And what it was the cancer had spread to my hip, my pelvis.
Oh
Yeah.
my God. And what if you would
So
have said, it's probably just a, hip
I did
flexor.
say that. I was like, it just whatever. And I kept on going on with life until my stomach started descending. And I started getting this like bloating that I knew wasn't normal. And then I went into emergency and they're like, oh, you're in trouble here.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh. And you have no cancer in your body right now.
No cancer as of now. Thank God. Yes.
Rose Garcia, you are a fighter, a survivor, a resilient motherfucker. I
Yes.
am so proud to know you.
And
So
anyone out there can do it. If anyone's out there fighting anything, they can do it. If I can do it, trust me, you can do it.
I love that message, and thank you for that, because that goes beyond, health. It goes into every area of life where life is lifing, and life will keep lifing, and it'll keep throwing shit at us. And it's like,
Yep.
well, we can either stand up and face it and keep going, or let it completely crush us into oblivion. So the last question that I always like to ask on these interviews is, if you could add something, a chapter to the book. So there's 16 chapters, The Gift of Blank. What would it be and why? So The Gift of Blank, what would it be?
I would say the gift of living. I mean, because of the position that I'm in, like, I'm so
Yeah.
grateful that there's nothing in life that could be so bad that wouldn't make you want to be happy to wake up in the morning,
Yeah.
to be,
Oh,
you know
that's
what
a
I
good
mean?
one.
Yeah,
Yes.
there's
I love
nothing.
that.
There's
So
nothing
when are
in
you
life.
writing a book?
Oh, no, you're the writer.
Oh, yeah,
But
right. I mean,
but
we'll see.
but you know, when you think about, like, if you have a really crappy day, whether it's because, I mean, think of the worst thing you can possibly be going through in life. There's someone out there that has it worse,
Yeah.
right? There's, you know, and just be grateful that you're alive, that you're healthy, that, you know, you have people around you that love you. And there's nothing that, you know, any higher power, God puts in your path that you can't get through. And I really do believe that's true. That's true. It's a saying that my mom used to always say, like, oh, God doesn't put anything in front of you that you can't get through. And I'd be like, yeah, right, lady, blah, blah. But it's true.
You know
You know,
what's, oh, go ahead.
and just turn in any negative, like, you know, when I got hit with this cancer diagnosis, I was like, okay, I can just curl up and just be like, I'm sick. Oh no. I was like, you know what? F this. This isn't
Yeah,
going to take away my business. This isn't
right.
going to take away my happiness. This isn't going to take away my relationship, my families, my fun. No, I'm going to get through this. And I worked through the whole time. We sold last year. I say we, because my nephew was helping me. He's my 30-year-old nephew. I recruited to my business, but we
Nice.
sold 30 houses in my cancer year.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
So
I don't know many people can say that. I don't.
yeah.
You know what I love about life is that you were saying what your mom said about, you know, God not putting more on you than you can bear. My dad, just last week, I was talking to him, and it's interesting because he was saying, you know, Lindsey, sometimes there will be more on you than you can bear, but that's what makes you reach out to your higher power. So it's cool that, like, both can be true at the same time.
Very
And
true.
I don't know. And our parents were dropping truth to us.
They were. And I'm telling you, faith is one thing. I know you're a big person of faith.
Mhm.
And I grew up in a very Catholic household and always respected you know, faith, and always respected, you know, the way my family perceived religion. But I never practiced it as much as my parents or my grandparents. And during this time, it was like the one thing I ran to, which is crazy.
Wow.
Who would have
Wow.
thought, you know?
Your lifeline.
Yep.
Well, I am I'm honored that you would come on here and let me interview you. I know that you have 1,000 things to do. You're pulled in a ton of different directions, and you know, like, more people on the earth than anybody else does. But thank you for spending time with me. I
This was my
want
pleasure. This is
to
actually a lot of fun.
Yay, good. Well, if you're watching, I want you to do two things for me. I want you to go to the website, notanotherselfhelpbook.com. I want you to order it. I just have it on my iPad here because I don't have the physical books with me yet. But I want you to go follow Rose, follow her journey, sign up for, you know, all the communities to stay in touch. But I like to give a call to action at the end of these interviews that has nothing to do with, you know, me or the book or really even my guest. And today I want the call to action to be, if you know someone and you are watching this and you know someone who is going through cancer or who has been through cancer, new diagnosis, reach out to them, offer to take them out to coffee, lunch. Don't try to fix it. Don't try to say the right thing. Just go and spend time loving on them, being there for them. That's your takeaway today. So, Rose, any
That
final
was
words?
amazing, by the way. That would mean a lot to the world, to anybody going through that. So that's an
Oh,
amazing
good,
call to action. So thank you
good.
for
Well,
that.
it came to me while you were talking, so I credit you for that. But any final words before I release you to the wild?
Get the book. I'm so proud of you.
Oh my
I mean,
God.
honestly, you are such a force. You are amazing. You're talented. If you don't know her story, which I do, and you're just amazing. You're just an amazing person. And I'm so proud of you and what you're doing. And this is awesome. And I know it's going to take off. And I'm very proud of you. So thank you. And I'm honored to be the first. So thank you.
Woo! You're so sweet. I love it. All right. Bye, everyone.